In this video, me and Paul C from WpTuts will share tips about starting a WordPress web design business. And in part 2 of a 3-part series, we'll talk about the importance of showcasing your work. Hello and welcome to the Digital Alchemist podcast. I'm your host Casino from Casino.com. I'm the Digital Alchemist, and today is episode 2 of a 3-part series where me and Paul C will share tips about starting a WordPress web design business. So make sure to subscribe and smash the notification bell to get notified when new episodes come up, as well as new podcasts. Because yes, this format may become a regular show on the channel. So, showcasing your work. So we want to talk about why, how you should showcase your work, because we're talking about how you can get started with WordPress as a freelancer, as a web designer, as a web developer. And sometimes what happens, people ask me, what do you think about my business? I'm trying to start my business. It doesn't really work. And sometimes I go and check their website, their portfolio, and it's not that they're not good, but maybe they got so much work. Maybe they have a day job and they didn't spend enough time on their own website. So what they're showcasing to the world is not what they really have inside. It's not the skills that they have. So, Paul, what's your take on that point?
I would say if that's the way you're going to go, to cherry pick a couple of examples of your best work. And if you can, keep that fresh. Now, I would be remiss in saying that I'm the worst for doing this, because any web designer will tell you the same thing. If they've got a website for their company, that's the last website that gets built, because that's the one you can't find any inspiration for because you're working on client sites. So it's easier said than done, but I do think that there's no point in putting 20, 30 examples of your work on there, because I think most people will make a decision within the first 2 or 3 examples they see whether they want to progress on to potentially sending you an email, picking up the phone and giving you a call, whatever method they want to sort of reach out to you. So I would say always pick the strongest work that kind of, resonates with your audience. You know, if you are someone that builds a lot of websites for restaurants, there's no point in showcasing sites for the local sort of dog shelter that you did as a passion project if most of your potential clients are going to be in the restaurant industry. You know, so be sensible in how you portray yourself, pick your best work, pick it to display to an audience you think you're going to resonate with. And if you niche down, which is something that I've said in one of my previous videos, if you want to become known as the best web designer in a town, stroke city, stroke county, you know, whatever, if you're broad in what you cover, that's very difficult to be picked out amongst all the other web designers out there. But if you're someone that niches down and you focus on restaurant websites and that's primarily what you build, and you do a great job of it, you get known as the go-to person for that particular kind of thing. So again, it kind of goes back. There's no point in showcasing the animal shelter website for the local charity if the majority of your potential clients are in the restaurant business.
Yeah, true. I've seen actually some of those portfolios where they had some projects, and then when I talked to them, for example, they had WooCommerce website, and when I talked to them, they said, "Well, I hate creating e-commerce websites." So I was like, "Yeah, but why do you showcase an e-commerce website?" Now, for example, if I take my own case, I'm kind of like that. I mean, e-commerce, I've worked on some big e-commerce websites. It's great for the challenge, but if I really look at the amount of time it takes and what I get paid, if I really divide the hours, I make less than if I create a simple website that's going to take me, I don't know, a day or two. And, you know, I'd like to have 10 of these. So I see that people often try to go for they dream about the big contract, but the big contract comes with a lot of headaches. I used to work in an agency, and they had big clients. I've worked with McDonald's, the BNP Bank, Porsche, many companies, and most of those are, I mean, the companies themselves are great, but sometimes locally you deal with people, you know, because they work for a great company or big company, they know that you're disposable, and sometimes they don't treat you that well. Well, I was lucky. Most of those brands treated me well, so it was fun. But I've come across a couple of brands where I was like, man, I don't ever want to work with those people ever again. And most of the time, I actually have more fun with startups or people, just on a smaller scale, but you have a lot more freedom, at least in my opinion. Now, of course, if I get a big contract, I'd be happy, but I'm trying to choose who I work with. It's not all about the number of zeros that you get after the first figure. It's also about how much you appreciate. And right now, I'm working on a project with a client, and we have a great relationship. It's really great because I'm working with their teams. I'm doing my best. They're doing their best, and it's really fun. And it should always be like that. Julio asks, what is your guys' take on promoting design or web support services on your social channels like Paul's WpTuts Facebook page, for example? I think you have a large community on Facebook, Paul.
It's growing nicely. Yeah, I mean, I can't complain. I've definitely found, and I know we spoke about this a little while back, that I wish I started the Facebook community a lot sooner, because it's taken on a life of its own now in a really good way. So while I started off with maybe a handful of engaged individuals, I'm finding now that I go on there in the morning or something and I'll look, and there's a ton of posts on there that I haven't seen from the night before, and also a ton of answers. So it's lovely to see that's becoming a thing of its own. But when it comes to promoting design and web support services on social channels, I'm not too sure if you're talking about promoting your services on something like my Facebook page. If that's the case, then I would generally say that's a bit of a no-no, not specifically for mine, but I think for a lot of Facebook groups, I don't think that would be something that would be good. If it's your own, then I would say if it's a Facebook page, the amount of traction you'll get from that is probably minimal, because Facebook, say 4 or 5 years ago, they went to the model of, if you want to be seen from your Facebook page, by the people that actually like your Facebook page, you need to give us money. So it went down to something like, I think maybe 3 or 4 years back, it was like 12% of your sort of supporters, should we say, on your page would see anything you posted. Then it went to 8%, and it might be down to even sort of like single digits, low single
it's 4
digits.
now. I think it's 4%.
So if you got 1,000 sort of likes on there, that's 40 people that are going to see it. Is it really worth using that as a platform to promote? I think there are better ways of doing it, to be honest. I still go back and I keep saying the same thing over again. It's like a broken record. Is I think and this is specific to what we are talking about, web design and stuff like that. I think unless you are very unique in some way, promoting via something like just posting on Facebook is not going to give you any real traction at all. I think it's they just want you to pay for that traction, but you can hyper focus it. So, if you were offering something that's quite unique in an area and it's very niche, then you could probably do quite well from going down the route of that by niching down the advertising you do on a platform like Facebook. But general posting on there, I probably wouldn't waste your time, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, I think you're going back there to what we've said all the way through this, is if you are offering value for free, people will gravitate towards you to come across as being someone that knows what they're talking about. This is why so many people will say, if you get involved in forums and Facebook groups and you're answering questions, you'll come across as incredibly knowledgeable, trustworthy, and that way people are more prone to wanting to employ you to do certain kind of work for them.
Now, if we talk about working on your website, I often talk about how you should create a portfolio. So I'm going to say once again, because some people may not have heard it, but my process, and that's what I did when I moved away from where I used to live. So I moved like 10,000 kilometers away. I knew nobody when I got here. So the idea is that you need a portfolio. And in my opinion, you can start with 3 nice looking websites. It's the minimum, but to be honest, you don't need much more when you're just getting started. So what I usually advise people is to look for companies locally. Maybe there's some locally known companies that you can check their website and see that their website is not that good. Now, do me a favor, don't email them and say your website looks crap and I can do it better, because the person opening the email might be the person that created the website, or it might be the CEO's son or daughter. So it's not the way to do it, but try to be in touch, offer your services. And what I used to tell is, I used to tell people, I'm going to make you an offer that you cannot refuse. So it was funny because I started like that, and they were like, yeah, try me. And I said, okay, if I had to recreate your website with the current number of pages, and if you wanted a modern design and you want a really custom website, this is how much it would cost. Now, I have an offer for you. I'm going to create it for free, but there are two conditions. The first condition, you can never tell that it was created for free. So we sign a non-disclosure agreement, also known as an NDA. And the second condition is that I have the final word on the design, because if I wanted this to be on my portfolio, I'm going to work 1 month on that website, I need to get something out of it. So I tell them, okay, it would have cost that much, but you're going to get it for free. Now, I got a lot of no's. People, they thought, who's this guy? And they didn't believe me. But I got a few yeses. And out of those yeses, that's how I got the ball rolling, because I had quite a nice brand that said yes. And from there, I had some other people that came. So I did it, and I've seen many people do it also. There are other ways, other techniques. Many roads lead to Rome, but this has helped me tremendously. And if you really put your heart into it, and if you have time on your hand, I believe that you can create 3 simple 5 pages website in a month, and you can get started. For example, you could look for a nonprofit organization. It's a win-win situation, because if there's a cause that you have in your heart and you see there's a nonprofit organization that has a really bad looking website or no website, you can offer it for free. They're going to be happy, and you're going to be happy, and double happy, because you made something good. And then there's something you can really show also in your portfolio. And finally, I would say that you should also participate in local and online industry events. So where I live, they have a kind of it's an event where it's a full weekend where people can come and create teams. And when it starts on a Friday, and they tell you, okay, this is the topic. So by Sunday at midnight, or Monday at midnight and 1 minute, it has to be completed. And it's fun. So you don't sleep, but you have a lot of fun, and people start to notice you locally. So that's what I would do. So Paul, how did you showcase your website? Was it just your website and your portfolio? Did you use ads, or is it the YouTube channel? What did you put in place?
Originally, before I did any of the YouTube kind of things, it was you'd go to your Chamber of Commerce meetings, those kinds of things, like you were saying, the business networking and so on. But I think the difficulty with those in the UK, I can't speak for anywhere else, is there tends to be a very much sort of an old boy network, as it were. This isn't to do with the gender of the people involved. It's just a kind of saying. So I just found that I work with a few clients to start off with, like you say, various different ways that you get clients. Mm-hmm. And then it's about the reputation, especially if you're in a smaller location. I mean, if you're in a city, like London or New York or something like that, then totally different scenario. But most of the people that I'm sure they're going to be listening to this are not going to be in that situation. They're going to be freelancers, either starting out, looking to start out, or early on in their journey. It's about building your reputation, and you can build the best websites in the world. But if your support and your relationship skills with clients absolutely suck, you will only get that job one time. And then when it comes up to be renewed, they'll go somewhere else because you'd be the last person they would want to deal with. So True. I would say personally, it's 90% relationship, 10% skills. You know what I mean? So I think work on your people skills, work on your value proposition, work on how you build relationships with those clients that you win over. And this is the thing that I always say when I have a first conversation with someone, whether it's on the phone, whether it's via email, or whether it's via sort of face-to-face. The one thing I will always tell them is that I'm more interested in building a relationship with them than anything else, because when they are happy with that relationship and you provide a great service and you're there to help and support them moving forward, when they want to have their website updated, when they want a new website developed, when they have a new business idea, who are they going to pick up the phone and speak to? You every time, because you have a relationship and they trust you. You know, you only win trust once. Once you lose it, you'll never get that trust back in a business situation. So work on your people skills, work on how you build relationships with those clients, and they will spread the word for you. You know, I've just picked up a client now. It wasn't a case of they phoned me up and said, oh, I've spoken to someone and I'd like to get a price off you. No, they were already sold. They phoned me up. I was like, I want this. Can you tell me how much it's going to cost? When can we start? So I didn't have to win that client over. One of my clients I've been working with for like 15 years, we have a great relationship. She spoke to her. She was one of her students. She said, anybody you know that can sort of go through a website side of things with me? I'm new to this. I don't know what to do. So yeah, give Paul a ring. She dropped it, sort of got in contact with me. I spoke to her a couple of days ago, and the project is in the bag, as it were. But that's because I've got a great relationship with that first client, and this isn't the first time this has happened. So for me, it's more about relationships than it is about building a website. The website is the end result. The relationship is the key, most important thing on any of those kind of jobs.
So I hope that you got value out of this, and don't forget, this was episode 2 of a 3-part series where we talk about starting a WordPress web design business. So make sure to subscribe and smash the notification bell so that you get notified when new podcast episodes come up. And by the way, make sure you check the WpTuts channel. You won't regret it. Oh, and if you want a killer branding for you or your clients, I created a brand guidelines template that you can download on my website. Initially, it was created for Affinity Designer, but you can use it with Adobe Illustrator with a workaround. So if you're interested, just go to kesina.com/branding. So thank you for watching. I can't wait to see you in the next episode. And in the meantime, don't forget to invest
in your success.